Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the head of state presided youth forums concerning the sustainable development. The head of state received the African chief, AFRICOM chief for the international scene after Congo Ebola epidemic expansion is in Uganda. Welcome to our newsroom. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Margele, sponsored the Teenagers and Youth Young Development Actors Forum this morning at the Campus Key Hotel. This is the first forum of its kind that highlights the commitment of adolescents and young Djiboutians to the sustainable development in order to build the Djibouti of tomorrow. This forum, organized in close collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Social Affairs, was exclusively dedicated to youth with the main objectives: the places of young people in the society of tomorrow. Young people to exchange with debate and topics that concern them and share experience and innovative initiative, and especially to strengthen their involvement in achieving the Vision's 2035 and Sustainable Development Goals. On his arrival, the President of the Republic, accompanied by the First Lady, wished to visit the different stands alternately where the latest technological inventions were exhibited as well as product. These consultations, which will last 2 days, will better guide young people with solutions and commitment for the world of tomorrow. These young actors and decision makers of tomorrow will have to implement the transformations of an economic of our society, all in the basis of a more sustainable models which perfectly integrate the Vision Djibouti 2035 and the Agenda 2063, which themselves concretely translate into the various objectives, goals, targets, and actions. This will allow the Republic of Djibouti to remain focused and committed to the ideals envisioned in the context of rapidly changing world in partnership with the United Nations systems, UNICEF, UNDP, and the Center for Technology and Innovations. This forum was attended by members of government, senior government officials, diplomatic corps, and above all young people from the world of entrepreneurship but also others from the university.
De la nation إيجوجي هويتنا جيبوتيا بحب يقين وإنسانية، صوت الأمل والاتحاد نبني معا هذا الوطن. هويتنا جيبوتيا بحب يقين وإنسانية، صوت الأمل والاتحاد نبني معا هذا الوطن. Djiboutienne, hérité de l'Iman, IOG est là pour vous, le bâtisseur de la nation, IOG. جيبوتينا أفريقيين، شبابها رمز اليقين، اليوم دال أفريقيا نعتز بها كل السنين. جيبوتينا أفريقيين، شبابها رمز اليقين، اليوم دال أفريقيا نعتز بها كل السنين. La jeunesse djiboutienne, héritée de l'Iman, IOG est là pour vous, le bâtisseur de la nation, IOG. La jeunesse djiboutienne, hérité de l'Iman, IOG est là pour vous, le bâtisseur de la nation, IOG. La jeunesse, Djiboutien, hérité de Néma. Iogé est là pour vous, le bâtisseur de la nation. Iogé.
The young participants of this forum take the floor and speak about the challenges of our youth in the country. The representative of the UNICEF in Djibouti, Jana Boumaounde, speaks Djibouti will host from this Wednesday, the Farjad 2019, the forums of adolescent and young development actors, which will gather for 2 days adolescents and young people to discuss, debate on topics that concerns them and share experience and innovative initiatives, she said, above all, to strengthen their involvement in achieving the 2035 vision and the Sustainable Development Goals, said Jana Boumaounde. On the eve of this forum's adolescent act, the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, His Excellency Hassan Mohamed Kamel, is kindly granted us an interview about this historic day, which will be officially opened by the President, His Excellency Ismail Gele, who has always wanted the youth of our country to be at the center of its sustainable development policy, said the Minister. For his part, the head of state took the floor on this occasion of the youth forums. Listen to him, please.
C'est avec un grand plaisir que je participe avec vous.
It is with great pleasure that I participate with you in this forum dedicated to adolescents and young people. This is an opportunity for me to recall the priority that the government places on the youth of our country. The priority, as you know, is available in all areas of our youth: education, leisure, training, but also health or employment. In all this area, the government has called for a number of measures and a lot of action that has contributed to the development of our youth. I would like to quote you as advanced compulsory schooling up to 16-year-old, adapted national services, guaranteed bottom for youth. These measures, but also many others, have facilitated the socio-professional integrations of thousands of our young people. The government, always in its concern to guarantee to the youth of the countries a future promoter, has restructured some departments to advocate at most of their aspirations and needs. This is why the former Ministry of Education has been transformed into the large Ministry of Education and Training. The government is also seeking to establish a synergy between the various ministerial departments, such as youth and education, always with the aim of constructing a global political offer that is up to the challenge facing our youth. Once again, listen to the President of the Republic, who emphasizes that the responsibility of the government to be at the youth side in all levels. Listen to the head of state.
Ces défis sont immenses. Ces défis sont pluriels, car il s'agit de la santé de nos jeunes.
Ladies and gentlemen, these challenges are immense. These challenges are plural because it is about the health of our young people, the education, the training of our young people, the professional insertion of our young people, the blossomings of our teenager and our young people play in many different ways. The government has the political responsibility to create the conditions for this development. It is that it strives to be always attentive to those who are the depository of our future and our development. This is why the forum like this one consists of a space of debate, exchanges, and consultation is best suited to give to our youth the opportunity to speak as well on the problematic which concerns it directly and other questions of general and collective interest. Because we must not neglect the ease and the perceptions of the youth on the news and especially on our future, because it is more often a new look and an original perception. Ladies and gentlemen, my country, like ours, all young peoples make up 15% of the population. This youth must be considered as a major asset for our development and our future. This youth must be considered as a human resources and a human capital to be valued. We must ensure that these potentialities are not plagued by scourges such as delinquency, school wastage, and unemployment. The best way to avoid these pitfalls and to bring out this potentiality is, of course, on education and training. This responsibility is fully assumed by the government. This is why education for all has become a reality today in our cities as well as in the region. After the official speeches, room for discussion is panelists at which the Minister of Finance and Economy, Ilyas Musa Dawale, experts of young people, took part thematic how to make young actors of change tomorrow, clear exchanges and messages, providing young people with all the tools and the right environment for a more sustainable society in every sense of the word. Let us remember that the younger people will be actors of the change to come, but they will also be emissaries of this will to change with their families, their friends, and the rest of the society. Not in passing that these first forums of its kind highlights the commitment of adolescent and young Djiboutians in sustainable adolescent development in order to build the Djibouti of tomorrow. The President of the Republic has received in audience at the Presidential Palace in the afternoon U.S. Military Command for Africa, AFRICOM, General Thomas Waldhauser. General Thomas Waldhauser, as part of a regional country's tower at the head of the U.S. Military Command for Africa, has allowed General Waldhauser to discuss with President Gele the friendly relations and cooperation between the two friendly countries, cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and the United States of America, particularly in the area of counterterrorism. The promotions of peace was also at the center of discussion between the Djibouti leaders and his African-American guests. After his audience, the senior U.S. military officials told the national press that he had a fruitful exchanges with the head of state and cooperation between Djibouti and United States in the fight against piracy. The head of the U.S. military command, General Thomas Waldhauser, has told the national press in substances. Listen to him, please.
One of the things the President and I and the Chargé discussed today was we had a change of command over at Camp Lemonnier where the new general was posted. And I was here in Djibouti to be part of that ceremony today. And so as a result of that, I wanted to take the opportunity to stop by and see President Anglais and just go over a few issues. This will probably be my last visit in my current position, and I wanted to thank President Anglais for the support and for the friendship and for all the engagements that we've done over the past few years. You know, we've been working very closely with some of the Djiboutian forces in training and so forth. And I just wanted to thank the President for his support and let him know that we're going to continue to do that. Well, you know, one of the things that has, of the progress that's been made here over the past decade or so is the piracy issue. really today there's very little, if any, piracy that takes place. And that's a result of the team effort that goes on. And there are efforts by some. The European Union still has a vast network that takes care of these things. So this is a problem that was obviously very big years ago. But here in recent times, it's not been certainly as much as it was at its high point. Sure. Well, one of the things, of course, is the effort inside Somalia is a global effort. And you have the United Nations, you have the African Union, you have the European Union, and you have various countries like Turkey and the UK who are all part of trying to assist the federal government of Somalia that stands up. So yesterday we were in Somalia. We visited with the Prime Minister and our ambassador there, and we went over some of the issues and talked about some of the challenges. But the U.S. commitment in Somalia remains. But again, we're part of an effort that is really international when it comes to helping the federal government of Somalia.
The Minister of Transport and Somalia on a working visit to our country was received today by the Ministers of Equipment Transport, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed. The purpose of this visit is to strengthen cooperation ties between Somalia and the Republic of Djibouti. Present at this meeting, the Director of Maritime Affairs, Mr. Ali Mirah Shehem Daoud, the Minister of Transport, Musa Mohammed Ahmed, told his Somali counterpart the availability of the Djiboutian government, recalled the historical and secular link between Djibouti and Somalia in several areas of security, economic training, and among others. The visit reaffirms the will of the two governments to strengthen and consolidate this relationship, privileges that Djibouti disposes with Somalia. For her part, the Somali Ministers of Transport, Ms. confident of the measures, she reminded us that Djibouti is a source of pride for us. Somalia infrastructure development, sharing appearance. A Somali delegation is led by the Somali transport ministers arrived yesterday in Djibouti to make a working visit to our country. This delegation is led by the Minister of Transport and Somalia, accompanied by the Minister of Equipment and Transport, His Excellency Musa Mohammed Ahmed. The Director of Maritime Affairs, Mr. Ali Mirah Shehem, went successively today management companies for Dorale Container Terminal to DMP. Delegation is led by the Somali Minister of Transport, accompanied by the Minister of Transport of Djibouti, Musa Mohammed Ahmed. The Director of Maritime Affairs, Ali Mirah Shehem Daoud, first visit the terminal management company Dorale Containers in its acronym DTMS. On the spot, the General Manager is Mr. Abdullahi Adawi Sigat, and the management company of the container terminals that Dorale gave the Somali Minister of Transport, and has got some explanations on the unloading capacity there, here, everywhere, unloading seat positions of the ports, computers. For her part, the Somali Minister of Transport welcomed extended to her by her Djiboutian counterpart. He can only welcome the welcome so my country has given me, and I am confident, she said, in the futures of working between relations between Djibouti and Somalia. She said she reminded us that Djibouti is a source of pride for peace for us, Somalia's sister Republic of Djibouti, for its port and maritime infrastructure development, and for this we solicit to sharing of experience to accompany us in the challenges to us Somali for a better future. The Somali minister did not fail to renew this gratitude and this recognition is on the behalf of this government and the people of Somalia for the President of the Republic, Ismail Margele, and his people for the past 2 decades has been an effort to consolidate peace in Somalia. For his part, the Minister of Transport, Musa Mohammed Ahmed, told his Somali counterpart the availability of the Djiboutian government, recalled the historical secular links between Djibouti and Somalia in several areas of security, economic training, and among others. This visit reaffirmed the will of two governments to strengthen and consolidate this relationship privilege that Djibouti disposes with Somalia. Colonel Wais Omar Bogore, commanders of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, welcomes into the compound of the meetings rooms of the Coast Guard headquarters. A Japanese delegation is led by the senior vice president of Japanese Agency of Coast Japanese Cooperation JICA, Mr. Hiroshi Kato, in the presence of, among others, the resident representative of JICA in Djibouti and the officers of the institution, the commanders of the Coast Guard and the senior vice president of JICA have had fruitful, constructive exchanges reporting the good cooperation and collaboration between the two countries, brothers and friends, the Republic of Djibouti and Japan. Therefore, between the two institutions such as the Coast Guard and JICA. Colonel Wais Omar Bogore immediately welcomed the seniors of Vice President Hiroshi Kato before giving him a brief presentation of the various missions and services of the Djiboutian Coast Guard. The leaders of the Japanese delegation praised the development and major progress recorded in so short times at times of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, but also wanted to highlight the very good relationship between JICA and the Djiboutian Coast Guard. The meeting between the Japanese delegation and the Djiboutian Coast Guard ended with a brief visit to the naval assets of the institution. The Embassy of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in Djibouti hosted yesterday's ceremony dedicated to the donations of 200 tons of Saudi dates, amounted to more than 88 million Djibouti francs. To the World Food Program. These donations will be distributed to poor families in the Djiboutian community as well as to refugee residents in the countries. During this ceremony, the receptionist document was signed by a representative of the Saudi Ministry of Finance, the King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Centuries and the Saudi Embassy in Djibouti as well as the World Food Program offices in Djibouti. Attend this event Mr. Lafi Al-Mutairi, General Consul of the Saudi Embassy in Djibouti, the representative of the World Food Programs in Djibouti, Ms. Olivia Hans, as well as representative of the Ministry of Finance of Saudi Arabia, the Humanitarian Aid and Business Centers of King Salman, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Djibouti. This assistance is an extension of the Kingdoms of Saudi Arabia.
Of 200 tons of dates from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, aimed at the most vulnerable Djiboutian populations and refugees. As it is the case every year now, these dates are distributed during the holy months of Ramadan to 19,000 refugees in 3 refugee settlements in the country, as well as 30,000 vulnerable populations who are living in rural areas.
For his part, the Consul General of the Saudi Embassy in Djibouti, Mr. Lafi Al-Mutairi, stressed the deep fraternal relations and the joint cooperation between the two sisters countries, namely Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Djibouti. He added that this food aid was part of the efforts of the Kingdoms of Saudi Arabia, led by King Salman bin Abdul Aziz and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, to accompany the effort of the Republic of Djibouti to improve the living conditions of vulnerable families in Djibouti. For the international scene, after reaching more than 2,000 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ebola outbreak arrived in Uganda, where 3 cases were detected and a 5-year-old boy died on the night of Tuesday to Wednesday. A 5-year-old boy, the first cases of Ebola in Uganda since the outbreak of the epidemic in the Democratic Republic of Congo 10 months ago, died in the night of Tuesday to Wednesday following this disease, has on Wednesday, June 12, learned from an official of the Ugandan Ministry of Health. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.